wawe ni watu wa kujituma. Sio lazima ujulikane na mbunge, sio lazima ujulikane na MCA, sio lazima uwe rafiki wa governor ama chief. Kila mmoja wenu amefika hapa kwa sababu ya kujituma. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Kuna mtu hapa alihongana ndiye akuja hapa? Mimi nataka nijue. Kama kuna mtu alikuambia nipatie pesa fulani so that you can be part of this program, I want you to raise your hand, because I want to deal firmly, decisively with anybody mwenye yako hapa ati alilipana. Kwa sababu hii program, we said it must be transparent and it must be accountable and it must have integrity. Mimi nataka niwapongeze each and every person seated here. Wewe mwenyewe wakati uliona hiyo program, ulitumia simu yako, ukatumana, ukafuata maagizo, ukaenda kwa training, ukaambiwa ukuje Kabiroine, leo umeketi Kabiroine. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Mimi nataka niwaulize, kuna mtu hapa alisaidiwa na chief? Kuna mtu hapa alisaidiwa na mheshimiwa? Kuna mtu hapa alisaidiwa na MCA? Si kila mtu alijituma? Wewe mwenyewe ulichukua simu yako, uka-apply, ukaenda ukapata maagizo, ukaenda the next step. Namna hiyo, na umefika hapa leo. Mimi nataka niwaambie, kwa sababu ya kujituma kwenu, that is why we are here today. Na mtatoka hapa hivyo. Nyinyi mnanielewa? And let me tell you the background, because mimi nimekuja hapa kwa sababu nimekosa kazi. I have a lot to do. But this is very important. Kwa sababu Kenya hii kwenda mbele, we must position the place of young people in our nation if we are to tap into their talent, their knowledge, their expertise in driving our country into the future. Nyinyi mnaelewa, and I'm telling this to every young person and to every Kenyan. The largest, the most important asset that we have as a country is our human capital. That is the most important asset. It is more important than gold. It is more important than any money. The asset of our human capital. Yani, ile rasilimali kubwa tuko nayo Kenya ni Wakenya wenyewe. Na ndio sababu hiyo nimesema ya kwamba, because the largest asset we have, the most precious resource we have is the young people, is the people of Kenya, we must invest in them. Na ndio sababu mnaona from school, when I was elected president, we had many challenges on matters to do with education. CBC was a problem. Teachers, we had a shortage of 116,000 teachers. We had a deficit of classrooms. Stakeholders did not know when to move from primary school to junior school, how junior school is going to transition into secondary school. And that is why I took it upon myself that we are going to reform the education sector. Leo, mimi nasimama mbele yenu hapa kuambia, we have taken concrete, transformational steps in reforming our education sector. Ile CBC ambayo ilikuwa na changamoto mingi, tumeirekebisha, tumeinyorosha. Sasa wazazi, walimu and other stakeholders wanajua, tukitoka primary school, tunaenda JSS, tukitoka JSS, tunaenda secondary school, na hiyo taratibu, we presided over the transition from primary to junior school. And this year, this January, We are presiding over the transition from junior school to the first cohort of senior school or secondary school, grade 10. We have enhanced the money for our education from 500 billion shillings to 702 billion shillings this year because education is important. It is the single biggest empowerment we can give to the young people of our nation. We have hired by this January 100,000 teachers. This January alone, in fact, last week and this week, we've hired 24,000 teachers to go to our classes. Why? Because education is important. Because we must equip the young people of our nation with knowledge, with skills, for them to make a useful contribution to our nation going into the future. We have reformed the issues of funding for our TVETs and our universities. Today, we have a student-centered funding model that makes sure that we treat every student in a unique manner, depending on merit and depending on their ability and the ability of their parents to pay or not to pay. So tumefanya hiyo mambo yote because tunataka vijana wa Kenya wapate empowerment ya elimu, wawe na skills, talanta zao tujue, ndio waweze kuchangia katika kupeleka taifa letu la Kenya mbele. Lakini tukishafanya masomo, pia we must have a plan beyond. Mtu akimaliza form 4, what happens? Mtu akimaliza standard 8, what happens? Mtu akimaliza university, what happens? Mtu akimaliza college, what happens? Yule ambaye amekosa ku transition from one class to another for whatever reason, what happens to them? And that is why we have designed five interventions as government to make sure that the money we spend in education, the 700 billion shillings we spend as Kenyans kusomesha watoto wetu, we must get value out of it by making sure the product of education, the young people who get out of school, we must place them in areas where they can contribute to the progress of our nation. And I've told you we have 5 interventions. Number 1, I told the people of Kenya we were going to run a public construction intervention.